our next speaker has a bachelor's degree from University of Groningen, I hope I pronounced it correctly, the Netherlands, and ended up in Norway on exchange, even though he actually wanted to go to Sweden. But Norway grew on him, and which is why he did his master's degree in social psychology at the University of Oslo, and is now a PhD fellow in social psychology here at the department. He was a fresh-faced and optimistic psychology student when in 2011 Dietrich Stapel was found to have fabricated data. Since then, he has been interested in the replication crisis in psychology and implementing practices for high-powered studies and open science. In this presentation, he will talk about a new journal type called the registered report and how this can contribute to more transparent and valid psychological research. Please welcome Janis.
Psychology is in a crisis. Well, at least some people say so. I'm not the one to judge whether that's accurate today. I'm mostly for give a reflection on how we could do something and how we're doing the scientific process at the moment. So it all started back in 2011 when there was a senior researcher and he claimed he had found evidence for precognition, so the ability to see the future. And after then there have been several findings that couldn't be replicated. And some researchers argued, okay, maybe we just use practices that are a bit questionable. If we look at the typical process of doing scientific research, we have this circle. So we typically start out with a hypothesis, then we design a study to test this hypothesis, we collect data, we analyze the data, we interpret it, and finally we write up the report. The problem is there are some ways to exploit this circle, and there are also some issues involved in this circle. So one of the first issues is actually low statistical power. So power is the probability that you detect an effect, if there actually is one. And a review of published studies has shown that power is pretty mediocre, or even lower to detect effects, which is not that good actually, because we want to find an effect if there is one. Another exploiting technique is p-hacking, or going on a p-fishing trip, which means you're just doing like a lot of tests until you find that wholly significant p-value. And get a great feeling. You all had that, I guess. And this inflates type 1 error rate. So that's not really the best thing to do. Another problem is actually that there's a lot of publication bias. So most of the literature that's published is on positive effects. So it's a pretty skewed picture of the actual effect that is there somewhere. And there's also a lack of data sharing. There are only about 30% of people that share the data. I mean, it has been increasing in the past, but still these are depressing numbers. Another problem is the lack of replication. According to an estimate, there are only 0.1% of findings that get replicated in the end, which is a problem because one of the cornerstones of science is reproducibility. And if you don't replicate that, well, that's a problem. Another way to exploit the circle is something that's called harking, which means hypothesizing after the results are known. So you actually start out with an hypothesis, and then you test it, and you get kind of the opposite data. So you just say, oh, well, I planned it in the beginning. Which kind of inflates your type 1 error rate as well. So it's not that bad to do that. Here's the typical publication model that we use at the moment. It's kind of you go through all this cycle, and then in the end you write up the report, and you get reviewed by people, and then you publish or perish. Most of us hopefully do both. I mean, we have all perished, and it's pretty frustrating. But there might be an alternative to do that, which is registered reports. So in this stage, we actually first plan the study, and then we write up a report and then review. And then, after it's reviewed, we actually do the study, write the whole report, and then it gets reviewed again. And the funny thing about that, it gets published no matter what you find. Isn't that great? That's great, isn't it? So if you look at the two processes, you actually see that registered reports here on the right side, they have two review processes. So you first have to think about introduction and methods of the study before you actually do the study, which can be a bit confusing process actually. But in the end, it results in publication, no matter what, if you follow that analysis that we proposed. So it can actually take care of most of these problems. So low statistical power, p-hacking, harking, and the publication bias. It can't really take care of the lack of replication, but you can also do replications with registered reports. So if we look at the positive sides of these registered reports, you don't have to p-hack anymore, because it doesn't matter what you find in the end. Huh? It's a really great relieving feeling to not have to wait until you get that highly significant p-value of 0.06, like a bit marginal or something. Another positive side is actually there is no harking, because you register your hypothesis beforehand, which also results in transparency. You now actually know what they planned in the beginning and what they found in the end. Yeah? So it's actually a valid report of what people do, if you see this registered report. Another positive side is actually that there is no publication bias, because just every study that you plan and conduct gets published in the end, at least if you do the things you wanted to do. So you don't really have to kind of have this waste bin where you just put in all these studies that didn't work. It doesn't matter anymore. I guess some people say, no, well, it all sounds good, but it's a bit limiting. I mean, I have to register that and then I have to do that. I want to explore things. Well, that's not a problem. You can still explore stuff. You can do exploratory analysis with registered reports as well. You just have to denote them as such. Huh? So that's not a problem. But I think personally it also has its downsides here. So first of all, it's a pretty confusing process, mostly because most of us have learned to do the research process in a different way, like in the original process. So it's a bit demanding actually to think about what you want to exclude before running a study. And we're not used to that, so it needs some habituation actually. On the other hand, it also is pretty time consuming. So we did that registered report things and it took us 1 year until we got published. I mean, on the other hand, most manuscripts you submit kindly go to different review stages and probably different journal stages as well. So it's about the same in the end, I would guess. At the moment, there are 46 journals that implement the registered reports option. And we have journals from different spectrum. So like neuroscience, social psychology, cognitive psychology, health psychology. So you can just go out and pre-register and register your report. I hope I've given you an overview of what registered reports are and what they're not. And I hope that we stop trying to predict the future or see the future, but that we just try to register it and do valid and reliable science. So let's just register, and also let's just have a beer because it's a break now after that. Thank you.